I do think that like the future policy of the Chinese government plus like the Chinese military just should be like push the U.S. Navy out of the first and second island chain. I'm not saying this from a nationalistic perspective. It's just like from pure geopolitical calculation. If you were a strong state, obviously you're gonna like you want to throw off your competitor out of your own backyard, right? And in terms of like geopolitical expansion, I do admire Japanese, Imperial Japan's original idea back in the 19th and 20th century. It's called the Great East Asian Sphere of Co-Prosperity. Basically, it's like their sphere of influence. I think China today and China tomorrow should actually apply that idea to have a very unified empire around the whole East Asia, plus the sphere of influence in the Southeast Asia as well, all the way to places like Singapore and the Strait of Malacca. I mean, let's not talk about the so-called like the human rights or like democracy anymore. It's because the USA is doing the same, right? And I don't blame them for that. I think Trump is great, right? Trump and JD is doing great. I think if they want to have like their influence both in places like Mexico, Central America, plus the Canada and the Greenland, I think they should do that. I mean, it's natural. It's literally the natural tendency for every living organism, whether it be a human being or the institutions, to expand. There's nothing wrong with expansion as long as you have the resources and the strategy to cope with it. I think there's like pretty much only two ways for both two countries, where either they're gonna have one of them gonna have a peaceful rise, the other one gonna have a peaceful decline and a peaceful retreat from the Asian affairs, or they're gonna have a full-out conflict. We don't know what's gonna happen next, but I do think like weather options, the world will just not be the same anymore. Like every day we are living right now, the world is like going into another direction, which we haven't seen for decades. But honestly, I have to say, it is scary, but also exciting. But I cannot guarantee that like having a Sino-centric East Asian empire is gonna be good for every Chinese live in this land. I think since the very ancient Chinese dynasty, there's always a problem within China, which is overpopulation with the limited resources. So the competition within China among the Chinese themselves are always very fierce and intense. So I think for the sake of well-being of most of the Chinese, I think China should just expand its living space, or actually exporting like those people to other places, far away places which are not habitated by other people, right? Because think about this: if we do have a world-spanning Chinese empire, I guess maybe the entire world will benefit, because Chinese are actually very hardworking people. Whenever they go, even in some like remote desert land, they will still make that place very habitable, like very friendly for the human civilization to thrive there. The limit of the imagination scope of the Chinese leaders right now. They were born and raised in China. They couldn't imagine having China as a political entity, but actually span across like way vaster lands around the world, around the continents. But me, I can't imagine that, because since I was young, I was sent to the States to study. I studied in the USA, I studied in the UK, in London. I've been traveling around all those places. Especially back in my days in London, I truly admire the imperial mission, the imperial projects that has done by the British Empire. It pretty much like spread its civilizations all around the world, because otherwise we wouldn't be speaking English today, right? I think China should just do that. China now does have the capacity to do it. It's only about if people have the imagination, if people have the political will to do it, if people have the mental strength to execute upon it. Who is the military and industrial might of the China today? Honestly, I feel like the Chinese empire should already taken the Central Asia, part of the West Asia, plus a big parts of the Southeast Asia as well. If China does become the number one in the world, let's say if it does become a good and benign leviathan in the world, we might even have a better place. let's say if Chinese empire is able to pool all the good resources around the world, whether it be talents, whether it be technology, whether it be like financial resources together, the human race might already end up in the moon or in the Mars, or maybe our footprints would already be out of the solar system already. There is nothing wrong with that. I think the issue with the world right now is that like everyone is like so obsessed with those like internal struggles, like this is our national sovereignty, this is our human rights. I don't think those issues are actually so micro. If you actually open your eyes to see through the world, to actually look beyond, look up, we human beings, we are confined in this earth. How pathetic is that? If we could all join force together and led by a central force, the central government, we could explore and expand into the entire universe.